Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation. And for the censors who monitor community guidelines, we always assure you that at the New Health Conversation, the only thing we ever share with our audience is actual medical proof that's in the public domain. Everybody can access it. Nothing that we're doing is a claim. Nothing that we're doing is not backed up and substantiated by medical science. And we certainly are very cognizant of the fact that everything we talk about is safe because there's medical proof that it is safe. So let's just get that. Let's get that out of the way. So many of you coming on right now can see hopefully the headline up there. She lost 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days. That's with no exercise. It's not a diet. It's not counting calories. It's revolutionary. It's going to change. It's going to make every diet that you're on completely obsolete. Now, you may think that's a pretty belligerent or a bold statement on my part, but what we have that nobody else has, we have 10 now peer-reviewed human trial medical studies on human beings proving that this is going to, it'll obsolete any diet you're on now after listening hopefully to this information today. You'll never do another traditional diet again. It's ridiculous. I mean, diets are failing so miserably that they now project within 4.5 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese in just 4.5 years. So do you really think that any of the diets you're on right now work? The biggest fallacy of all, of course, is calories in, calories out thing. It's been completely debunked, and we'll show you that today from Harvard Medical School, from the New England Journal of Medicine, from the Nature, from all these journals now that are saying that that is wrong. It just isn't correct. Even Medicare is now saying diets just don't work. So all of you that are on this today, obviously, you're concerned about your health. I assume a lot of you are concerned about weight loss, et cetera. But what you're doing is not going to work long term. That's not my opinion. It's the opinion of all these world-class experts. So again, I'd love, first of all, any of you, if you were going to lose 20 pounds on any diet, you pick any diet you want, any program, et cetera, how long would you give yourself? And number two, does anybody know the definition of a calorie? I mean the medical definition of a calorie. Because again, not to be disparaging, but you're all counting calories, and I've had 6 people in a year give me the actual technical definition of a calorie. Now, who am I? Well, my name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I've done over 1,500 live lectures around the world. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the biggest medical doctors in the world, and I just had the privilege of coaching these 2 women on the cover of Women's World magazine, considered the number one women's magazine in the world. The daughter, who's a nurse, she's 57 years old. She lost 50 pounds in 3 months. The mom, who's 80, now she's lost 93 pounds in a little over 9 or 10 months. And they've both been able to keep it off now for nearly 3 years. As a matter of fact, the mom just lost another 3 pounds last week. So this is a news story. This is not an advertisement, just so you understand. Now, the reason that the magazine picked this particular, you can see they're over 50 protein miracle. It's not really just about protein. There's a lot of other things involved. But it's because there were 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. You have to understand, nobody else have peer-reviewed human trial studies. And these studies were originated by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, who spent 40 years, 100 studies, thousands of people proving to themselves that all conventional diets, none of them ever worked long term. So what we're going to teach you or make you aware of today is how dramatically different your life could be, but it's not about counting calories, it's not being on a diet, it's not 10,000 steps, it's not going to the gym. As a matter of fact, like in her case, or in all the people I'm going to show you here in a moment, none of them were allowed to exercise. As a matter of fact, they wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. But do you all understand that going on a diet by counting calories, you're doomed to failure? Not because I say so, because all the press. But let me read to you just before I show you some of the studies here in a moment, but let's just talk about the medical opinions now about calorie counting, okay? None of it's my opinion. I'm the researcher of the researchers. But listen to what they said about you counting calories. The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while calories in, calories out formula can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained. So what they're basically saying is that if you go on a diet by counting calories, you're going to weigh more than when you started. This is not my definition, by the way, everybody. And yet, I would say the majority of you, the big majority of you, you won't even take advantage of the fact. You can see right there above her head, the new health conversation. That is the website you can go to. It's 100% free to go there. And right above it in black, you can see it, free coaching. You get coached for free. No gimmicks, no tricks, etc. We got coached. But what diet do you think you're going to go on now and lose weight and keep it off long term? Plus this, well, I mean, what diet would you go on to average 5 pounds a week with no exercise? I'd love for anybody to put that in the chat and let me know. Oh, there's Kelly, there's Nicole, Sweet, Auntie, Mua, User 263, Kimberly 798, who else? Charla. Lots and lots of people coming on here. We got hearts going already. And can we get some taps, everybody? Can we get some taps on the screen to show that you like the content that we're going to share with you? Just be a little bit patient. I know everybody wants, oh, tell us. No, I want to establish that you understand this isn't some flash in the pan. This is about a lifestyle change that could impact you for the rest of your lives and all the people that you care about in your world. We're in such a crisis now. As a matter of fact, that's why this is from Johns Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. So what do? Just throw your hands up in the air and say, well, I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to lose weight. No, you're not. Well, let me clarify. You're going to lose weight initially. But 2/3 if you're going to weigh more than what your starting weight. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Let me show you just 3 more pictures and then I'll get on and show you exactly what did they do, how did they do it, etc. Okay? But first, understand at any point, right above her head there in blue, the new health conversation. You can go there at any point. That's the free medical website. It's free to go there and we won't contact you. Now be clear, if you go to that website, we're not contacting you. The only way we'll contact you is if you scroll down and you get a free coach. It says right there, free coaching. It's not a gimmick. It's not like you go there and you get an initial consultation that says, oh, well, to coach you, it's $500. The coaching is totally free. You've never done anything like this before. So again, we want to make sure that if you want the results that are possible, you get to do it correctly, okay? Now, let's look at the second picture. This is Julie, everyone. That's 35 pounds in 37 days. 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at the change in her body. Now, you might think it's a different woman. You might think we lied and it was, 6 months. No, it was 37 days. You have to understand that when you're talking about peer-reviewed, peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, it's what's called irrefutable evidence. Meaning what? Meaning it's already been vetted by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world. You don't understand. You don't just publish a study and then they publish it. It's not like a public service agreement. No, it takes months. It takes lots of money. It takes a long, long time to get these published. Some of these studies were started back in 2012, 13 years ago. And that's how long they can take to actually come to the attention of the medical world. So you all have an incredible opportunity today to completely change everything you thought about diet, exercise, nutrition, if you want. Otherwise, you can just do keto or paleo or Mediterranean or time-restricted eating or fasting or count your macros or lower carbs, whatever. None of them work. None of them work long-term. It's not my opinion. I'm telling you. I'm going to show you in just a moment. Now let's look at this picture that you will think it's a different woman. It's actually the daughter of a friend of mine. How about 60 pounds, everybody, in 3 months? 60 pounds in 3 months. Look at her face, look at her arms, look at her stomach area. That is not Photoshop. That is absolutely real. By the way, with no exercise. As a matter of fact, they made people wear Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. Is it the same woman, everybody? Hello, Missy Join, Mika, Sweet Cheeks, Nellie, Happy Shopper, Deary, Candy, Eagle Wings, Kelly, lots of people joining. Come on, let's get some more taps on the screen if you like the content. But is that amazing? Now, the last picture I'm going to show you is an older gentleman. You hear, oh, when you get older, it's much harder to lose weight. Well, he's going to break that mold for you. Look at this. Curtis, 40.8 pounds, 52.5 inches in 30 days. Look at his lab work. His A1C, his blood sugar went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. See, the main reason to do this is the weight loss is almost like the booby trap on this. We know that's going to happen. But it's the potential improvement in your overall health, energy, mental focus, lowering stress, sleeping better at night, having more energy. All those things occur. If you were to talk to these people, most of them would say the biggest thing, they can't believe the way they feel. because again, they've never had nutrition at these levels that I'm going to explain to you in just a moment. Okay, so thank you for your patience. Now let's get into how in the world does this work. First of all, it was invented by they're rated the top weight loss, nutrition physiologists in the world for 40 years. They've done 100 studies, thousands of people over those 40 years. And they were analyzing pretty much every diet out there. Well, the conclusion they came to over all those studies was diets are miserable failures. Yes, people lost weight initially, but 2/3 gained back more weight than they lost. What was the problem? Well, the biggest problem was that all the diets were centered around calories in, calories out, counting calories. There's a huge problem with that in the fact that the human body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. It doesn't care about calories. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for calories. Your body runs on one simple principle, and that is, in order to run the brain, the kidney, the liver, the heart, you need a minimum amount of nutrition. It's not up for debate. That's how it works. When you go on a diet, think about what you're doing on a traditional diet, not on this. You're reducing the quantity of your food. Well, by definition, you're reducing the amount of nutrition. That was the fundamental principle. And when that happens, what you have to understand, when you lower the food and lower the nutrition, your brain senses there's not enough fuel, and it immediately stops you from accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel. And then what does it do? The weight loss slows down, and then it stops, and then you plateau, and then you get frustrated. You come off the diet, and you gain everything back or more. Why? Because you've lost lean muscle mass. But the other thing that's happening to you when you lose lean muscle mass, you're making yourself unbelievably unhealthy, because by losing lean muscle mass, you're also slowing down your own immune system. Do you know in cancer patients, one of the things that they say now is one of the worst things, it's almost unavoidable. But when cancer patients lose weight, they're losing lean muscle mass, it's slowing down their immune system. Did any of you know that? So imagine you're going on these diets and actually counting calories, losing lean, you're making yourself unhealthy. You are making yourself unhealthy by, you may have changed the number on the scale, you may fit in your skinny jeans, but you're making yourself unhealthy in the long run. So the researchers said, wait a minute, here's what we think should happen. The researchers put together food lists of proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits that she was able to go to the grocery store, but she only bought 30% of the total amount of food she bought the month before. Only 30% of these selected foods from these researchers who concentrated on only one thing in these foods. How much nutrition did they have? So that was a third of what she would consume. The other 70% did not come from these researchers. By the way, there's no products here. So don't put in the chat, what's the product? There are no products. This is food. But the other 70% of the food she consumed came from other researchers who'd gone around the world for 20 years to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food. So now they had what she was going to eat, right? She had 30% of the food from the grocery store. You actually would get a grocery list. You'd go to the grocery store with it. The other 70% you'd buy directly from these other suppliers. And now you're ready to eat. Well, this is what they did. 5 days a week, they invented a new eating pattern. Let's call it an eating pattern, because that's what the researchers called it. So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods around the world. That was breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, another meal from with these exotic foods around the world. So that was 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. That's called protein pacing. The pacing word is important, because what the researchers figured out was it wasn't just, okay, let's give her a lot of nutrition. No, how they spread it out over, let's say, about 12 hours made all the difference in the world, because it was the most efficient way for the body to use. Remember, they were lowering the quantity of food, but they're given lots of nutrition. But it was like, you don't want to use up all your fuel in the first, hour or 2 hours, right? So they spread it out. That's what protein pacing means. Then 2 days a week, she did something, now this will flip all of you out, called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, none, zero. Only these exotic foods around the world, but this time she ate 8 times a day. She was eating basically every 2 hours. So over the course of 14 to 16 hours, she was feeding. But no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. We'll look at the results, everybody. Now, one of the things I'd like you to pay attention to, look at day 1, her stomach, look at day 30. That's without any sit-ups, no time in the gym, etc. How did that occur? It occurred because now what we know is, in case you all have been not living under a rock, they just released studies showing that we're storing plastics in our brain and in our coronary arteries. But what else are we storing inside our bodies? Herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon. That's why most people complain to us. It's not just how much weight they've gained, but the amount of fat they have, especially around the abdomen, waist, diaphragm area, right? Well, you can see on day one, see what happens with the fat cells when the chemicals come in. The body takes the chemical and stuffs it inside the fat cell, and the fat cell expands. Don't let anybody tell you burn fat on a diet or through exercise. That's a total lie. You're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and that's it. But the fat cells can shrink or expand. You can see in 30 days there how much her fat cells shrank, because in the studies they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving this was removing chemicals. As a matter of fact, we tell people the last reason to do this is weight loss. That's like the booby prize. There were so many other things. Do you know in a month's time, people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically? And for the first time, hunger came down 41% in a month. Hunger. But here was the big one. So inflammation, in case you didn't know, is the underlying cause, according to the medical world, of about every condition out there. It came down 25% in a month. This has never been seen before. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any diseases. What we're doing, we're sharing. You can read it. It's in the studies. The reduction and you'll see that in LDL and all the markers, all the biomarkers came down in just a month's time. But imagine people's hunger came down 41% in a month. Most people report after doing this that their cravings, they also came down by about 40%, and they've been able to maintain it as they move forward, because that's the key to this. It's not can you get the weight off, it's can you keep it off forever. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That's what should matter to you. I know it sounds too good to be true, but how many of you would give anything to lose 20 pounds? Let alone lose it in 30 days with no exercise. Now, if you want to exercise, of course it's okay. But why did the researchers not let them exercise? Because they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Otherwise, you'd all say, oh, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. I understand I'm fighting the norm. I'm fighting all of your opinions. I'm fighting, you got your favorite influences on social media. They're telling you about keto or paleo or Mediterranean, the chiropractors and the doctors and the dietitians and nutritionists. But let me ask you a question. If what they had was so great, why don't they have peer-reviewed human trial studies? Because none of them have peer-reviewed. They're giving you opinions. And their opinions, I would say, suck. When we're looking, Johns Hopkins Medical School predicts obesity apocalypse. By 2030, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Does that sound to you like the advice they're giving you is going to work long term? No one's arguing that you can lose weight initially, but what in the heck good is that when you end up weighing more than when you started, 2/3 of you? All the studies say that. Does this make sense? What food should we eat? Okay, hold on. So Spark, let's see, how do I get in contact with you? Right there, do you see above her, it's with us. Do you see above there in blue, above her head, everybody, the New Health Conversation? That's the free medical website to go to. If you go there, we won't contact you, be clear. But you'll notice right above, free coaching. That is not a gimmick. So if you go there and you like what you see, scroll down and you can get a free coach, and they'll go over everything with you, the grocery list of what foods you're going to buy at the grocery store. But not just that, it's also the serving sizes. I'll give you an example. So instead of just telling you to get steak or hamburger, they want you to eat grass-fed finished beef. If you're doing carbohydrates, there are very specific carbohydrates that are called complex carbohydrates as opposed to just normal carbohydrates. The researchers, they figured all this out, not me. I had nothing to do with it. We're reporting on it. We're the researchers of the researchers. But, what do you all think of that before and after? Please tell me, anybody. So user 804. So user 804, you're giving me a yes. You understand you can go to that website for free. The New Health Conversation. Do you all understand you get a free coach? It's not a gimmick. We're really serious about this. We were coached. We all were coached. And we have a wide variety now of coaches. We've got medical doctors and dietitians and nutritionists and PAs and fitness people and weight loss people and health coaches, because there's nothing like this. Unless any of you can tell me a diet you've ever been on that you lose 5 pounds a week. And this is the least amount of people who look at Julie. She lost 35 pounds in 37 days. Look at that. Look at the body change. How many of you would like something like that with no exercise? And then April, my friend's daughter, 60 pounds in 3 months, everybody. Is that unbelievable? Is it the same woman? You think we're cheating you, lying to you? We photoshopped it, we did AI. We did none of that. This is going to change the world. And she's kept it off, by the way, for 8 or 9 years now. Yeah, let's keep those. I see only 13 likes. That's it. You don't like this content? Who else is showing you real medical proof? This is the breakthrough you all have hoped for. For 100 years, they've been trying to figure out how to lose weight and keep it off for 100 years. I mean, we've got to project 4.5 years, 86% of you are going to be overweight or obese. Does that sound like any diet you're on now is going to work? What in the world are we doing, everyone? What are we doing? You know what we're doing? We're defining the definition of insanity. You know, you've all yo-yoed on diets. Would you wonder why? You think it was your fault? No, it's the diet's fault because it was based on the false premise of counting calories. Counting calories is dead over finished. Now, you don't have to believe me. Ever heard of Harvard Medical School? Listen to this. Harvard Medical School, title of the study, Stop Counting Calories. They said the idea of a calorie in and a calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. Wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's exactly what these researchers did. They have nothing to do with Harvard. But if that's not enough, let's look at Medicare. They just finished a huge study. When do you hear this? The title of it alone for Medicare. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. I'm reading directly from Medicare. The researchers at Medicare studied long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets to assess whether dieting is an effective treatment for obesity. The study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you all doing? Are you following science? Are you following someone giving you an opinion? They're nice people. I don't want to disparage them. But what they're telling you is insanely wrong. You can't go to the beach. So I hope it's summertime. Go to the lake. Look at what's going on. Open your eyes. I mean, look at the beach in 1970. Google it, and then look at the beach now. None of it's your fault. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy, and I loved her. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is 24 years ago, she called me up one day and said, you know, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I loved my mom. My mom was 63 years old when she died. I believe my mom dieted herself to death. I'd like to think that I could at least open your eyes to the possibility that whatever diet you're on, it's going to make you more and more and more unhealthy. They already said in one of these big studies, what do you hear this? The science behind why diets don't work. Listen to this one. Our researchers reviewed more than 30 long-term studies of calorie counting and showed that going on any of these calorie-restricted diets actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. Again, what are you all doing? Why? Why are you counting calories? Because that's all we've been told. None of it's your fault. We're relying on these people that we trust. They're just wrong. I mean, let me say this to you. What if everything you thought you knew about diet, exercise, nutrition was 100% wrong? Because it is. The numbers tell us that. The medical studies over and over again. I mean, here's another one. Why you shouldn't count calories. Here's what they said. Our researchers said the truth is calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Again, what are you doing? Why? It's a free website right above your head in blue, the New Health Conversation. If you go there, the only thing there is the medical proof. We won't contact you. I swear on my kids' grandkids' lives, we're not contacting you if you go to that website. But we're giving you the option to see the medical proof first. Then you can get a free coach. Free coaching. It's free. Don't put in the chat, how much is the free coaching? How much is the consultation? It's free. You have a chance. You understand? You literally get a chance at a do-over. You could really reset the course for the rest of your life. Or you can keep following these ridiculous diets, lose weight, great, and gain it all back and say, well, that was the wrong diet. They're all wrong according to the research. This is not a diet. What these researchers developed to have her lose 60 pounds in 3 months is not about counting calories. It's not a diet, and it wasn't about exercise. Not that exercise is bad, but they didn't let anybody exercise. Let's just come back to just Kristen, everybody, and let me explain to all of you, what did she actually do? Matthew, what is it? Okay, perfect timing, Matthew. I'm going to explain it right now. So here's the fatal flaw of all diets. Number one, I'm still waiting for someone to put the definition of what's a calorie. In a year's time, I've had 6 people actually get it right. You're all counting calories. Why? You don't even know what a calorie is, I'm assuming, unless you're one of the 6 who knew what the definition was. I didn't know what it was 23, 24 years ago, so don't feel bad. But the whole concept of counting calories is ridiculous because the human body has no idea what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. So when you're hungry, do you think you're hungry for calories? No, no, no. You're hungry. The principle that runs our body is pretty simple. There's a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order to run the brain, kidneys, liver, heart, all our organs. When you go on a diet, you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming, but did you ever think, or did they ever tell you, you're reducing nutrition? So they've ignored the nutrition in favor of reducing the quantity, thinking that's the answer. Temporarily, you will lose weight. But once the brain figures out you've reduced the amount of nutrition, the brain will go into starvation mode every time. And what it does, it prevents you from accessing the fuel inside your fat cell and turns to your lean muscle for fuel. It's not up for debate. We have all the medical proof to prove it. 25 to 40% of what people lose on any diet they've ever studied is lean muscle mass. Okay? It's not fat. There's no such thing as losing fat, by the way. Your fat cells can expand or contract. You're born with a certain number of fat cells and you die with a certain number of fat cells. The only way you can reduce fat is either liposuction or surgery. So let's get that out of the way. So the researchers said, okay, the fatal flaw is, can we give you less food, but find foods that have more nutrition? That was the theory that they had. By the way, these researchers rated the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. I didn't invent this. I have nothing to do with that. I'm reporting what they found and what you can do or not. It's up to you. So the researchers put together a food list based on not how much food people were going to consume, but how much nutrition they would get. And they put a list together of proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits that you would consume. But instead of giving you calorie counts, they gave serving sizes, okay? So when it was protein, how many ounces, not how many calories. Got it? Now, that was 30% of the food that she would consume. So if you took her grocery bill last month, carve out 30% she spent this month to do this from her grocery store. The other 70% she spent came from these other exotic foods from around the world, from these other researchers, not the people who invented this. Because the people who invented it, there's no products, everybody. This is food. But, excuse me, but those researchers had gone around the world for 20 years to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, and found foods with large amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. So they had the foods now. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food. Based on this food was based on nutrition, not on the bulk or calories or anything like that. 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with these, let's call them the exotic foods from around the world. That was breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner, these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days, that's called protein pacing. Now something else that's really critical, notice the word pacing. The researchers also figured out that what mattered, yes, she was going to get all this nutrition, but the most effective way for her body to use it was to spread it out over about 12, let's say 10 to 12 hours. That's what the pacing means. Then 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Don't hear the word fasting. It's not fasting. It's not water fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. On those days, 48 hours each week as she was getting to her goal, she had no food from the grocery store at all, 0 food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time she ate 8 times a day. She was eating about every 2 hours. So again, they spread out the nutrition over about 16 hours over the course of a day. Do you know no one was hungry? There were people that weighed 400 pounds. They weren't hungry. And with further proof, in a month's time, they People's hunger had gone down 41%. Within 2 weeks, all the cravings, chocolate, so whatever people were eating, it was gone. Because once the body gets enough nutrition, it's not going to crave potato chips. It's not going to crave hot fudge sundaes. No. And by the way, this protocol is only until you get to your goal. That's why it's called R2M, race to maintenance. What does that mean? It means that we also would teach you how to maintain your weight loss for the rest of your life. It's so simple. Maintenance is simple. You have the exotic foods for breakfast each morning, 2 regular meals, and maybe every couple, 8 weeks or so, do another intermittent nutritional fast. That's once you get to your goal. Also, you got to understand, you're going to get a free coach. The coaching's free by someone who did it. This isn't someone at an 800 number leading off a wrist and a list. No, these are people that have actually physically done this and coached in many cases 1,000 or 2,000 people. I know it sounds good to be true, and the sad part is most of you are going to go back to keto, paleo, Mediterranean, carb recycling, count your macros, Jenny Craig, Weight Watch, whatever you're on. None of them are going to work. None, zero, none are going to work long term. It's sad. We're so brainwashed about this calories in. I get in big dust-ups on my lives. They want to argue with me. Why? I'm just sharing with you medical evidence. It's not. So if they're arguing with what are called peer-reviewed human trial medical studies that have already been scrutinized by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world. Not somebody giving me an opinion on social media. They can do that if they want, but it's just a waste of time. What makes this so different and unique, it's the only weight loss health protocol with 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Nobody else has it. So why are you, I'm just curious, why are you doing these diets, counting calories? The celebrity diet, or a lot of you are doing the shots, and we're not even against the shots, but let me read the real evidence. So the GLP-1s, they're helping diabetics and they're helping people morbidly obese. We're not against it, but let's look at the research. How effective are they really? Not the ads you see on TV. So this is the New England Journal of Medicine. You all can look it up. It's in the public domain. The title, Once Weekly Semaglutide in Adults with Overweight or Obesity. The study was 68 weeks long. That's a year and 4 months. The weight loss after 68 weeks was a mere 32 pounds, and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. Well, she lost 21 pounds in a month. Curtis over here, the older gentleman, he must not got the memo because he lost 40 pounds in a month. Also, in the New England Journal of Medicine, this is what they said. The results were clinically relevant reductions in body weight. 32 pounds in a year and 4 months, but that's how low the standard is. And that's what you're all doing. You're shooting for, the bar is like an inch off the ground. Of course you can get over it. But can you maintain it? They lost. Do you understand what the shots do? They slow down the food moving through your digestive tract. Code word, you're eating less food. But wait a minute, they missed a step here. What did they miss? You're also reducing nutrition. I don't give a darn what you think. Your brain, when there's not enough nutrition, it will automatically start to use your muscles for fuel. My God, they proved that 40% of the 30 pounds they lost was lean muscle mass. I can't make this up because you can go look up the study yourself. What are you all doing? This is nuts. And you wonder why you lose weight and gain it all back over and over, and your neighbors, your friends, your people. Hell, we got 50% of our kids overweight now, and about a third of those are now type 2 diabetes, type 2 diabetics. Well, type 2 diabetes in children 35 years ago didn't exist. Didn't even exist. I keep asking the same question. What are we doing? I'm still asking for anybody, give me the definition of a calorie. How come no one's giving me the definition of a calorie? I didn't know what calories were 24 years ago either. And look, we have 36 likes. That's it? Really? Can we get some taps on that screen? Look, this is medical proof. You want to believe these influencers just giving you an opinion. They don't have any facts. We have the facts. I mean, this just landed on the cover of Women's World magazine on June 9th. So what was that? 11 days ago. The two women here, I coached them. The daughter's a nurse. She's 57 years old, lost 50 pounds in 3 months. The mom, who's 80, lost 90 pounds in about 9 months, and they've kept it off now for nearly 3 years. Why aren't you curious a little bit? I mean, when you look at Kristen, and you can see she lost, that's 5 pounds a week, And see right above her head there in blue, you all can go. That's a free medical website, the New Health Conversation. That's our movement. But if you go there, we won't contact you. And then if you like what you see, then you can get a free coach. So I'd love for any to put, you aren't sharing. I'm not sharing what, Matthew? I just told you exactly what it was. Matthew, you aren't reading the comments. Okay. All right, hold on. Let me read the comments. Sorry, I wasn't reading the comments because I'm concentrating so much on the medical stuff. So, okay. So, unit of measure energy. No, that's completely wrong. Unit of energy. No, that's wrong. Stored energy. No, that's wrong. Carbohydrate or fat intake calorie is more dangerous than beef or chicken intake calorie. Yes, okay. When you look for the website, it says it hasn't been verified and the content is not compliant. Well, there's no spaces. Did you type in the New Health Conversation? I mean, you got thousands and thousands of people that are going there, so you must have not typed in the New Health Conversation. I mean, there's no way it's not there. I mean, we use it every day. I did it yesterday. We had hundreds of people go there. So, but it's the New Health Conversation, okay? That's where you go. So let me keep it up. How did she do that? Well, I'm going to explain it again here in just a moment. Let me see. I apologize to some of you about I'm missing some of the comments. Okay, so Apple user, it's right there, no spaces. The New Health Conversation, not New Health Conversation. You got to put the in the New Health Conversation. Okay, let's see who else here. Matthew, everyone did. I'm sorry, Matthew. Everyone did what? I don't see the other part of the question. Everyone did. You aren't reading the comments. You aren't sharing. What did she eat? What happens when you lose lean muscle mass? It slows down your metabolism and it slows down your immune system. That's what happens when you lose lean muscle mass. It's the amount of energy to raise 1 cup of water. Matthew, wonderful. Matthew, you're number 7 in a year. Got the definition of a calorie. But you understand, Matthew, the body has no idea what a calorie is. It means nothing. You're not hungry for calories. It's just a measurement. But wonderful, Matthew. Congratulations. I apologize because I'm so concentrated on what I'm doing and everybody's in such a rush and I'm trying to get everything in. I don't always read the comments. Bad on my bad. I apologize to everybody. It's not I'm ignoring you. So Matthew, that's great. Where do you put it in, please? Calories stored energy, though. No, No, your definition is correct. Your definition is the amount of heat it takes to raise technically a gram of water 1 degree Celsius is nothing less or nothing more. And there's the energy that's stored in the body is stored inside the fat cell. So you don't, Matthew, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. You don't burn fat. There's no such thing as burning fat. You're born with a certain number of fat cells, you die with a certain number of fat cells, and those fat cells either expand or contract. So let's talk about, look at her waist on day 1, everybody, and look at her waist on day 30. That's without any exercise at all. Because there's another factor going on here that I'll explain in a moment. So let's talk about what she did. That's what everybody wants to know. What did she eat? Everybody, I'm on Atkins. Great, Kathy. It's not going to work long term. That is complete nonsense. He died of a heart attack, by the way, so just so you know. It doesn't work. Where you put, okay, calorie is stored, okay, the New Health Conversation. Where do I type it in, please? You Google it with no spaces, Jackie. See where it is in blue? No spaces? Put that in Google. Right there, it'll take you to the site. We won't contact you, but if you like what you see, you can scroll down. You get a free coach, for crying out loud. You think it's a gimmick? You think you're going to get there? We're going to try it. They're not selling you anything. They don't have anything to sell. You're buying food. So let's talk about what she did. It was invented, not by me, by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world who over 40 years did 100 studies, thousands of people on pretty much every diet out there and came to the same conclusion that now the big researchers are saying. Diets are miserable failures, and there's never been one that has ever worked long term. Ever. I mean, Harvard Medical School stopped counting calories. Harvard stopped counting calories. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not just antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to take a different approach by concentrating what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. That's what these researchers did, and they have nothing to do with Harvard. So what did they do? The concept was simple. Your body has a minimum amount, not of calories. It doesn't even know what a darn calorie is. your body has a minimum amount of a minimum amount of nutrition that runs all your organs. When you go on a diet and reduce the quantity of your food, what else are you reducing? Nutrition. That fires in the brain starvation, red flags. The brain stops accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel and does two of the most unhealthy things to you could ever do. One, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you lose weight initially on all these diets, then it slows to a trickle, then you plateau, then you come off and 2/3 you weigh more than what you started because you've slowed your metabolism down. And it's not like you go back to eating healthy and you gain your metabolism back. I mean, up to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle mass on all these diets. That's what all the science shows. But the other thing you're doing to yourself by losing lean muscle, you slow down your own immune system. You're making yourself unhealthy by counting calories, going on these crazy, stupid diets, none of which work long term. It's not my opinion. So the researchers said, wait a minute, could we give you less food but find foods that had high levels of nutrition? That was the theory, and it was a theory. These studies were started 13 years ago, in 2012, some of them. So what they did, the researchers put together a food list that you would go to the grocery store, but only 30% of the food you would consume in a month on this would come from the grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But they picked them up, and they didn't give you calorie counts. They gave her serving sizes. Very important. They picked the foods that were based on nutritional density, not on the quantity. But the other 70%, and here's what made it work. These researchers had found other researchers who for 20 years had gone around the world, no kidding. They'd physically gone to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of food. Then, based on these new food groupings, they created a completely new, let's call it an eating pattern. That's what the researchers called it. So 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. Yep, 4 meals. Starting with these exotic foods around the world, that was breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner, these exotic foods around the world. You got that, everybody? So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day, exotic food for breakfast, regular food for lunch, regular food for dinner, and a 4th meal. Now, notice it's called protein pacing, which is patented, by the way, U.S. Patent Office, just to give you an idea how advanced this is. So what the researchers proved that when the spacing of when you were eating the nutrition really mattered. That's what they found. 2 days a week, again, what do you hear about this? 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not this ridiculous time-restricted eating, which is nothing more than a calorie-restricted diet. That's all it is. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world, but this time she ate them 8 times a day. Yep, she was eating it about every hour and a half to 2 hours. No food from the grocery store. We had people weigh 400 pounds, they weren't hungry. Because you got to get the concept, the body was never hungry for calories. The body was hungry for nutrition. So that is real. She really lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days. Now, I was going to tell you, why is her stomach? What's going on with the swelling in the stomach? And all of you have all this fat on your body. Well, there's a new medical syndrome that I have and you have. It's called TDOS. Every one of you have it, whether you think you don't or not. T is for toxins, D is for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. Yeah, I discovered it, and it's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office of a new medical condition. Now, what does it mean? It means that we're breathing, drinking, eating chemicals, whether you know it or not. As they enter the body first presents them to the liver. Our livers are so overwhelmed it can't handle all these chemicals. The next step is the body takes that chemical and stuffs it in your visceral fat. Your visceral fat is the fat around your organs. If you look at her on day 1, there's the evidence of the expansion of those fat cells in which she's storing chemicals. See, people tell you that you burn fat on these diets, or you go to the gym and you're going to burn fat. It's just not true. We're born with a certain number of fat cells. We die with a certain number of fat cells. And although we do lose, let's say, about 10% of our fat cells every year, they're immediately replaced. So your net number of fat cells doesn't change. But look at the shrinkage with no exercise, no sit-ups, no crunches, no anything. Not that you couldn't exercise if you want to. But the researchers eliminated it. Otherwise, you'd say, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising. I know this seems too good to be true to all of you. But I'll tell you, go one step farther. The 70% of what you would spend in a month, those suppliers, not us because we don't sell you anything, they'll give you 100% of your money back if it doesn't work. It's right on. Go to the website. It says 100% money back guarantee. Now 30%, because you're buying food for a month. 30% of the food you're buying from the grocery store, they're probably not going to give you your money back. And nothing's 100%, of course. But you're going to try and tell me any of these other diets, Atkins, Scarsdale, keto, none of them work. My God, they don't work. Here's a big study someone's talking about. I don't mean to be picking on you, Atkins, but here's the general consensus from Medicare, just to let you know I don't make up things. This is a big study from Medicare on diets, all these different kind of diets, right? Title, Medicare Search for Effective Obesity Treatments. Diets are not the answer. Our researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted and all forms of diets to assess whether any of these diets were an effective treatment for obesity. This is Medicare saying that, not me, so don't get mad at me about this. The study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there is little support for the notion that any diet leads to lasting weight loss or health benefits. This is Medicare telling you, do Atkins, great. But you got 2/3, you're going to end up weighing more than when you started. It's just a diet. No, it doesn't work long term. Do you get it? It doesn't work. As a matter of fact, I'll show you another study why you shouldn't count calories. Here's what they said. Our researchers discovered that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of people that try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. You can argue with me, you can get mad at me, but the science doesn't change. The science, unlike me, has no emotions. It doesn't have an agenda. It has no prejudice. It's not prejudice because you're doing keto or whatever you're doing. But they don't work. I mean, do you understand, everybody? Go to the beach, go to the lakes, look at this summer, look at what's happening. But it's not just in the United States. Do you know right now the Lancet conducted a study? The Lancet, if you don't know, is the #1 medical journal in the world, excuse me, out of England. They did a study concluded in March of 2024, a little over a year ago, and they estimate now 1 billion people worldwide out of 8 billion are clinically obese, not just overweight. They went on to say, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. Did you hear what I just said? You have to understand that the body needs fats, carbs, and protein. Not just protein or fats, or just, so something like Atkins where you're basically just eating meat, or the carnivore, the same thing. Well, wait a minute, you need, what runs your brain? Not meat, carbohydrates, if they're the right kind of carbohydrates. And see, all of you, a lot of you are on keto and think it's wonderful about lowering your carbs. Well, let's go to the medical science. Nutrients, big study. They said low carbohydrate diets lead to large reductions in lean muscle mass and increased osteoporosis risk in obese individuals. Really? That low carb diet. I know I'm being kind of a smart aleck, but you've got to understand, I need to wake you up. For some of you, it's still early in the morning. I'm in Denver, Colorado. It's 7 o'clock here, but I've been up for a while. But honestly, are any of you producing that kind of a result? 5 pounds a week on average? Not low carb. Oh my gosh, Kathy, no. How do we get these offer and free coaching? Okay, that's a great, hey, where can I get the information to start this program? I try every diet on the planet. George, chemicals is a buzzword. Everything is a chemical. Matthew, they're specifically called toxins. Don't try to be some. Look, I discovered have you discovered a medical syndrome? Registered, trademark, U.S. Patent Office. They're toxins. Of course, they're chemicals. But the term is the toxin. That's what matters. You can call it chemicals, that's fine. But don't try to think you're going to like outsmart me somehow, okay? I've written 4 best-selling books. I've appeared on PBS 20 different times and 1,500 lectures around the world. I've spoken at Autism One 2 years in a row, the biggest autism conference in the world. So don't try to put these cutesy little comments in there, okay? It really makes me angry. I've devoted 23 years of my life to bring this to the world right now, which we're doing. We're changing lives. So what you can do, all of you, see right ahead there in blue, the new health conversation. Okay, the new health conversation. That's a free medical website to go to. Now let's come back to these chemicals, toxins, whatever you want to call. But let's go to the big time researchers and what they're saying about this now. Listen to this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. Great. They may be playing a role in the generation of obesity. These chemicals, though, have a name. They're called obesogens. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals, toxins that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, and chemicals added to processed food from pesticides sprayed on our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen and blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. Had any of you even heard the term obesogens before right now today? And in the studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved that this protocol was helping the body get rid of the obesogens. And that's why her stomach shrank. But we're in a mess. And what do we keep doing? We keep counting calories thinking somehow that's going to work. It doesn't work. So all of you can go and get the free medical proof at the New Health Conversation or not. And if you go there, you can get a free coach. Kathy Walker, kimchi, not quite sure what you mean. So does everyone know, Kathy, it's not about no bread. No, Kathy, see, this is the nonsense that's out there, not you. Kathy, this is the only thing that's medically proven. It has 10, Kathy, it's got 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Kathy, let me ask you this. How long would you give yourself on any of your schemes? That's what I call them, not your scheme, but diets or schemes, to lose 20 pounds. How long would you give yourself? How long would you give yourself to equal what Julie did? She lost 35 pounds in 37 days. 35 pounds in 37 days. And then the daughter of a friend of mine, this is the daughter, lost 60 pounds in 3 months. What do you think about that, Kathy? Is it even the same woman? It's such a dramatic change in her face, arms, and body. We only deal in scientific proof. We don't deal in opinions. Opinions are fun. They're okay. I mean, people can have whatever opinions they want. But I've devoted 23 years of my life. I've worked with some of the top medical doctors in the whole world. One of my colleagues is considered the top oncologist in the world. He's a molecular biologist. He's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine and has published over 237 peer-reviewed papers in the biggest medical journals in the world. That's what I rely on. I don't rely on opinions. Because we're relying on opinions. How's that working for us? We're headed towards 86%, Kathy, of the U.S. being overweight or obese in 4.5 years. Are we going to keep doing Atkins, paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating? None of it works. And what are we doing to address the obesogens that we're storing in our bodies? Nothing. Until now. There is no diet. No diet has ever been proven to even remove a gram of a toxin from our bodies. Never. It's never been done until now. That's why this is so exciting, and that's why they shrink. Because the fat cell, to protect us, is absorbing the chemical, and the fat cell expands like air in a balloon. We got the proof. It's removing chemicals from the body, and the fat cells are shrinking with no exercise. Do you realize in a month's time, Kristen, who didn't get to exercise, she increased her lean muscle 6 to 9% with no exercise and lost no water weight of the 21 pounds she lost? I'd love for anybody to put in the comments who thinks something like this exists. And these are the top, they're rated the top weight loss nutrition researchers in the world. It's not my research. We're bringing you their research to say, look, wake up, open your eyes. So someone's asked me about on another platform here. Here's the website. Sorry, new. There you go, the New Health Conversation. Someone's asked me, okay, you asked if we were curious. I'm what are they doing? Okay. Who else want to ask me a question? Host, sir, how do we fix it? I did it with a soup diet. Kathy, what did you do? How long did it, Kathy, 40% of what you lost was lean muscle mass. You didn't remove a gram of toxin from your body. None, 0. How much did you lose, Kathy, and how long did it take you? No, they're not fasting. What are your thoughts on GLP medications? They're very ineffective. I'm not against them. I'll show you the proof. First of all, let's talk about what she did so you all have a general consensus of what this is. Number one, it is not a diet. Two, it is not about counting calories. Do you all know? I mean, we did have one. I want to compliment him. He got the definition of a calorie right. He's one of 7 people in a year that got the actual technical definition of a calorie. Calories don't mean anything to your body. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for calories. The researchers figured that out. The people who invented this are voted the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. Let's start with that. They had done 40 years of research, 100 studies on every diet you could name, from Atkins to Scarsdale to South Beach to Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto, Mediterranean, time restricted eating, water fasting, you name it. And one conclusion they had: people lost weight on all these diets, but almost nobody was ever able to maintain the weight loss, and 2/3 of the people ended up weighing more than what they started with. And yet we have these people supporting these stupid diets that don't work long term. So the problem was that your body doesn't give a darn about a calorie, doesn't know what a calorie is. Here's what, for all of you, here's why it works. The researchers said this: the body runs on a minimum, not of calories, but nutrition. So the Achilles heel of all diets is when you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, you're reducing the amount of nutrition. When that happens, the brain freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cell, and turns to your muscles for fuel. Although you lose weight on any of these diets initially, you all know what happened to you. You lost weight, then it really slowed down, then it was a trickle, then it stopped. Then you were on a plateau. And you finally said you gave up and gained all the weight back and went on another diet. Why? Because when you're losing muscle mass, 2 things your body does that are unbelievably unhealthy. One, it slows down your metabolism. And two, it also slows down your immune system. So whatever diet you think you're on, Kathy or anybody else, you're actually impacting your own immune system. You're making yourself unhealthy. Soup. My mom did the soup diet. My mom did the cabbage diet, the soup diet. She did all these diets. She dieted herself to death. That's why I'm so adamant, and I hate diets. I'm being honest. Hate them. So the researchers said we need to do something different. So they said, if we're going to make this work, can we give people like her less food but more nutrition? So they put together food lists, only 30% of what she consumed, and you would consume. You get a grocery list, you'd take it to the grocery store. It would include proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, and vegetables. But instead of giving you calorie counts, you're going to get serving sizes. Very important. But only 30% of what she consumed in a month came from the grocery store, all organic. The other 70%, here's what makes it so different. There were other researchers who had gone around the world for 20 years to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition in places like Russia and Mongolia and Tibet and South America, New Zealand, that you can't buy in your local grocery store. And these foods represented huge amounts of nutrition in small quantities of food. So that's what you would be consuming while you're on your goal to get the weight off and get you to maintenance. Okay, now let's look at the next part. The next part is, okay, now they have these food groups, and they invented 2 new ways for you to eat. 5 days a week, you would have 4 meals a day. Yes, you start with these exotic foods. That's your breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner, these exotic foods around the world. You do that 5 days a week, 4 meals a day. It's called protein pacing. Notice the word pacing, everybody. What was critical, not just that they were getting all of this nutrition, but how it was spread out. They called it the pattern of eating. So they were eating, let's say, every couple of hours, okay? That was 5 days a week, protein pacing, 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, they did something, listen to me carefully because it's going to spin most of you out. They did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she ate 8 times a day. What? Yes. She was eating about every hour and a half for 2 hours. We had people on this who weighed 400 pounds. They weren't hungry because it was not based on calories. It was based on nutrition. And the research is what they proved. It didn't matter the amount of food you ate. It only mattered the amount of nutrition. Does this make sense to everybody? You realize in a month's time, despite losing all that weight, she lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, and she wasn't allowed to exercise. Excuse me, actually, she wore a Fitbit proving she didn't exercise. How crazy is that, everybody? This is going to change the world. If you're doing any diet after this, I don't know why. And right above her head in blue, you can all see it, the New Health Conversation. Free medical website to go there. What's there? Only the medical proof. There's none of my books to buy. There's no buy buttons. We will not contact you if you go there. But if you like what you see, you scroll down, get a free coach. That's the only thing we ask. If you sign up for a free coach and they reach out to you, because they'll call you, text you, email you, but you give us permission to do that, answer them. We have a number of people that fill out the form and then the coaches can't get a hold of them. Listen, our biggest challenge, we only have so many coaches, and you get coached for free the whole time. Not just the beginning, because this is what you do until you lose your weight. This 5 days a week, 4 meals, and 2 days a week intermittent nutritional fasting. Maintenance is simple. It's what I did this morning. I had the exotic foods for breakfast. I'll have a normal lunch, a normal dinner, and then every couple months I do another intermittent nutritional fast, not to lose weight anymore, but to keep assisting my body in removing the chemicals and the toxins that we're all exposed to on a daily basis. So let's see, the new health conversation, Rose, that's my TikTok handle, but there's no spaces. If you're trying to find, if you type in new health conversation, you won't find it. It's got to be the new health conversation, which is a registered trademark, by the way, of this movement. It's a movement for all of you, and you can join it for free. The movement. Look, here's my point. You have to eat, right? But this is completely different foods, or let me say combinations of food in a completely different way. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's different. If you do this, you also get, I should have mentioned this, this is what the medical researchers put together. It's called the Blueprint for Success. And in here, each one of these yellows is a daily video from the researchers, not from me, explaining to you why it's safe, what you're doing, et cetera. And in here also, you can see, you can read it, the menu schedule, and then the recommended food list, and then the little squares you're seeing, those are daily videos, day 1, day 2, day 3, as you're beginning to go through this, to educate you, number one, that it's safe, from the researchers who have no products to sell. They have no dog in this hunt. So if you do it or you don't do it, they don't make a penny. They're scientists, but they get the credit now for cracking the code on obesity and health that they've searched for 40 years. I think that's a pretty amazing story. And I know people, they get angry with me, they want to fight with me, they want to argue with me. None of it's my research. I'm only sharing with you from the medical proof. That's all we can go on. Opinions are not serving us anymore. Opinions are not working. When we're looking at Johns Hopkins Medical School saying study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight by 2030. And then you've got someone like Medicare. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. That's Medicare saying that. The researchers at Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets and diets to assess whether any diet is an effective treatment for obesity. The studies show that 2/3 of dieters regain more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you all doing? Medicare's telling you that traditional diets, I don't care what the name is, don't work long term because they're all based on one basic principle, on deprivation. Like even, let's say, something like Atkins or Scarsdale. They used to be called Scarsdale. So, okay, you're eating, it's also called the carnivore diet now, where you got no fats and no carbs. Well, your body needs fats and carbs. So right away, you're already in a deficit, even though they'll let you eat as much as you want. It's never been about how much food you're eating. It's about how much nutrition you're getting. And there are nutrients in fats and nutrients in carbohydrates that aren't in meat, that aren't in protein. And we're not opposed to carnivore. We think it's a good outcome. But we enhance it. We add to it because you're still missing. For example, one of the things you're the most deficient in your food, you don't even know it, is something called trace ionic minerals. There are 70 of them you need. I'm not talking about iron, calcium, magnesium. I'm talking about things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. In the best organic food you can buy in this country, you get 20. The researchers found a source where in that food, it contained all 70 trace ionic minerals. If you need 70 and you're getting 20, do you see what the problem is? And now you're going on a diet where you're reducing the amount of food you're consuming. So now the amount of those minerals that already were 50 minerals short is now even less and less and less. That's the dilemma that we're in. That's why none of this stuff works. And yet you have a free medical website right there, the New Health Conversation. Why wouldn't you go there and at least take a look? Because we're not going to contact you if you go there. We're way too busy. And right above, free coaching to ensure your success. Free coaching. Maybe you think it's too good to be true. Maybe you think we're faking things. Maybe you don't think that, that Julie lost 35 pounds in 37 days, but she did. Look at her body, everybody. Is that the same woman? Or my friend's daughter, April, 60 pounds in 3 months? And then Curtis, an older gentleman, for sure you think we photoshopped this. How about 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days? A1C from 8.4 to 6.4, triglycerides 242 to 124. We had a couple of people that were on, I think yesterday, one lady was on day 23. She was down 22 pounds in 23 days. I think she maybe had to lose 35, 45 at the most. Another woman was on day 5, and she already was down, in the first 4 days, she was down 12 pounds. I know this sounds outrageous to all of you, but you've got to understand, we're the only ones with medical proof that it's safe, that it works, and the benefits. Look at him, look at his lab work. His A1C from 8.4 to 6.4, his triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's never been seen before in any diet. You all want to hold on to what you've been taught and what you believe. I get that. I should respect that. It's just, I get upset sometimes because finally, my God, after more than 100 years, we've got real medical proof. They've figured out how to get you to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. I mean, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That's what should interest you. That's what should excite you. That's what should really get you to what people who are vegan. Juice fast, one of the worst things you could ever do, by the way, Glow Queen. Vegan, there's a whole vegan version, absolutely. Total respect for vegans. But unfortunately, juice fast, I don't have time to get into it right now. Huge studies out of England saying juice fast. Now, let me clarify. If you're juice fasting and you've removed all the pulp, you're increasing your risk of type 2 diabetes. If you have the pulp, it's okay, but it's not even in the same planet as this because the very vegetables that you're consuming are lacking the nutrients we've been talking about today. Okay, just so you understand. So don't get mad at me. I'm just, again, the science. Big studies, juice fasting, when they remove the pulp and the fiber, they're increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes because, in case you didn't know, plants by nature have much higher concentrations of carbohydrates than animal proteins, just to give you an idea. Okay, who else? Let's see, who else? Interesting. I'm going to website and end of podcast. Great. Let's see. I have allergies, so I have to be careful. Again, Rain, Heavenly Mama. Is that Mama? Mana. Sorry, I didn't mean to mispronounce your name. The print's so small for some reason today. I don't know why. Again, that's why you do a personal consultation for free, Rain, Heavenly Mana. Does that make sense? So in other words, you'll see right here above her name in blue, the new health conversation. Go there, look at the medical proof, and then sign up. Not sign up. There's nothing to sign up for because the coaching is 100% free. But then talk to a coach, and so you don't have to. You can discuss it in private, whatever allergies are and what you're taking and the medications. Look, we have kids as young as 2 doing this. Everybody, two. We have a lady 91. We have people with no thyroids. No thyroids. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with a kidney transplant. We have people with no gallbladders. And we're not treating, curing, dying, preventing. What did I say? Dying. I didn't mean dying. I meant we're not treating, curing, preventing, or diagnosing any medical conditions. All we're doing is showing you the medical proof. But also on the website, for all of you, very interesting, that there's an interview with the number one weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world, number one. And he'll explain to you why, after 40 years of research, they'll never recommend to any of their patients any traditional diet you're on here ever again to anybody. But you have no risk to go to the website and look at the new health conversation, okay? As a matter of fact, when you go there, one of the things it's going to say, see, for all of you, only 30% of the food you do on this, you buy from your grocery store. So whatever you spent last month, you're only going to spend 30% this month. The other 70% you're buying directly from these other researchers who've gone around the world for 20 years to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition. Those researchers, in the first 30 days, they'll give you all your money back if it doesn't work. How's that sound? Does that sound pretty good? Not from us, because we're not selling you anything, nor the researchers who created this. But those research, that's how confident. Now, nothing's 100%, of course. But do you think she wants a refund after losing 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days? I don't think so. So who else? How is this possible? Well, it's carnivore diet, majestic dreams. I'll talk about that in just a moment. It's not just that it's possible. If you go to the website, you get to see the podcast with the #1 nutrition weight. He's voted the #1 nutrition weight loss researcher in the world. And they have 10 medical studies proving everything, how it's possible. It's not up for debate. They have the proof, the medical proof. They did the studies. No other diet, no other carnivore, I don't care what it is. Now, carnivore is fine, but it's massively short of what you need to be a healthy human being. It doesn't have, for example, the meat doesn't have minerals in it. You need 70 trace ionic minerals. You're getting 0 in the carnivore diet. What are you doing about something like prebiotic fiber? Nothing. So we modify carnivore. We add to it because you still need, whether they tell you that or not, you still need some fat and some carbohydrate, but they have to be the right kinds in conjunction with all meat. Now, they're having some, but you understand there's not one peer-reviewed human trial study on the carnivore diet. Doesn't exist. Not one. I know Dr. Sardino, I believe I have great respect for him. But he doesn't know about this. He didn't publish 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. He's got anecdotal evidence, great. That doesn't mean anything in the medical world. It means nothing. It means 0. So you could imagine it's like doing the carnivore diet on steroids, but they're not steroids, okay? Don't hear me say that. But again, go check it out. It's free to go there, and we're not going to contact you. Why not go take a look? Listen to the world's #1 voted weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. In the whole world. Listen to what he says. They'll never recommend any traditional diet again. Carnivore, if they recommend it, it's modified. It's a modified carnivore. And obviously we have vegans. We have all kinds of people from all walks of life. And I know people go on water fasts for religious reasons. That's okay. But you've got to understand, if you go beyond 22 hours, you're going to lose lean muscle mass because you have no nutrition and your brain freaks out, puts you in starvation mode, prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cell and turns your muscles for fuel. That's why all these diets fail that you're on. If you think you're on a diet now and you're going to lose, I already went to the website and watched the intervals. Where is the guide? No, if you went to the website, you need to get a coach. It's at the bottom. Type in and they'll contact you. The guide, that's a good idea. They're actually guides, I say, more than they would be your coaches, but they're there to support you. Where can I get the guide? No, it's not a guide. Are you talking, I'm confused. When you're talking guide, you're talking about the coach. Is that what you're meaning? You didn't go down. You scroll down past the before and after pictures, and down there it says free coach. You fill that out, and a coach will contact you directly. No, the coaching's free. The coaching's free. They're going to show you the grocery list of what you buy at the grocery store. They're going to show you how to buy these exotic foods from around the world. And then they're going to coach you. You've never done anything like this before. They're also going to provide you with the blueprint for success, but they're there live with you. No, this isn't somebody on an 800 number. This is your coach. It's going to be there for you the whole time to get you to maintenance. Does that make sense? That's why this is so cool. I mean, sometimes I don't articulate it just exactly because people have these questions which are totally legitimate. So go back to the website, scroll down past the before and afters, a whole section, free coaching. The coaching's free. The consultation's free. Okay? Isn't that cool though? The coach's orders. I love that name. And do you agree the coach's orders, you don't have to say it if you don't want to, but there's nothing to buy on that website, right? Nothing. And we certainly have not contacted you because we wanted you to see the medical proof and then get a coach. A lot of people, these people are trying to trick you. They will charge you for an app for recipes, then you get a coach. First of all, why are you buying recipes? You can get recipes from Martha Stewart. It's so ridiculous, the whole thing. It's all just chatter and no substance. None of these programs have peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. None, 0. Good, Annie, it's exciting. Thank you. And Annie, do you understand, you see right above her name, the New Health Conversation. Annie, let me know you see that. Give me a yes if you do. And see the coach, she's saying there's nothing to buy on that website. So it's not a trick, everybody. You see, when you have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, you want to promote them. We're not giving you opinions. There are plenty of people on my podcast that want to give me opinions. And I don't want you to believe me. We're simply the conduit. We're showing you the medical proof that maybe you could, because it's in the public domain, so you could find it. Oh, someone asked me about the shots. Sorry, GLP-1s a little while ago. Well, let's look at the medical proof. I'm not against the shots. They're helping diabetics and people who are morbidly obese. But wait till you hear the results. The New England Journal of Medicine, a 68-week study on semaglutide, which is, there's Ozempic, there's Tirzepatide, there's semaglutide, there's a whole bunch of them, GLP-1s, right? 68 weeks. After 68 weeks, the weight loss was 32 pounds, and of the 32 pounds that people lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. This is the New England Journal of Medicine proving my point. I don't care what diet you're on, 25 to 40% of the weight you're losing that you think is great is your lean muscle mass. Well, you have really made yourself unhealthy. Slowing down your metabolism is the least of your problems. You know what else you've done to yourself by losing lean muscle mass? You've slowed down your own immune system. You've made yourself unhealthy by going on these stupid, ridiculous, crazy diets. Now, we're not against the shot because it's helping diabetics and people who are morbidly obese. It's their only outlet. But all the shot does, everybody, is slows down the food moving through your digestive tract. Code word, you eat less food. You're full longer. But what else are you depriving your body of? Nutrition. Do you all get this? Am I making sense or am I just crazy talking to myself? I'm a mad scientist locked up in a room. This is crazy what we're doing. She lost 21 pounds in a month. Curtis, my God, the older guy, he loses 40 pounds in a month, not 68 weeks, 32 pounds. And he, look at his stomach went down. He gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass because the researchers measured lean muscle mass and water. Look at his stomach. But look at his medical turnaround. Look at his A1C, 8.4 to 6.4. Ask diabetics about that in 30 days to drop their A1C. But look at triglycerides, 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. Is any of you ever seen anything like this? But even if we go back to Kristen, would you be unhappy with 5 pounds a week? How many of you lose 20? Be honest, put it in the chat for me. Any of you, to lose 20 pounds on any diet, any trainer, any gym, how long would you give yourself? And understand that of the 20 pounds you're losing, up to 40% of that is going to be lean muscle mass, which is going to slow down your metabolism and your immune system, and you're going to gain all the weight back. Not because I say so, because every study says that, including Medicare. I know I'm repeating myself, but for some of the new people, I want you to hear this big study from Medicare. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. The Medicare researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets and diets to assess whether any diet is an effective treatment for obesity. The study showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. Medicare is telling you that 2/3 of you are going to end up weighing more than when you started. Why are you on these diets? They don't work long term. We've been fleeced for so long, In 1964, we had 15% of the population overweight and obese. They're now projecting in 4.5 years, in 2030, Johns Hopkins Medical School, the study predicts obesity apocalypse. By 2030, 86% of you are going to be overweight or obese. Does that sound to you like diets are working? I'm fighting the whole darn internet. I get it. I get huge pushback. You don't know what you're talking about. It's about calories in, calories out. No, it's not. No, the Medicare proved it. I mean, it's like people are so positioned on something that doesn't work long term. They're supporting, I mean, it's really the definition of insanity. Because we keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. Every year, bigger and bigger, bigger, bigger. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? So, yes, that's it, Dixie, the new health conversation. That's the way. 6 weeks to lose 20 pounds, clean eating. 6 weeks, good. Mandy. But obviously, Mandy, 30 days would be better, right? But also keep in mind, Mandy, what you lost, about 25 to 40% of that is lean muscle mass, just so you understand. She gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. So, and you understand, that would be considered extremely fantastic, 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Sounds like Dr. Rusting. I don't know who Dr. Jenny Lee, I don't know who Dr. Rusting is, but the thing you have to understand when you tell me something like that, there's no evidence that any of these people have peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. As a matter of fact, I have the report around here somewhere. Oh, here it is right here. This is as of June 15th, 2025, because you get this all the time that on PubMed, there are peer-reviewed studies of these other diets. Well, this is right from PubMed. As of June 5th, 2025, there are no irrefutable peer-reviewed human trial studies on PubMed or elsewhere that broadly substantiate the claims of these commercial detox products of toxin removal, weight loss, or health promotion. Except there are 10. What they're saying is no other protocol have any peer-reviewed human trial studies on PubMed, which is the biggest repository library of clinical studies. So whatever you're following, whatever you're telling me, there's not one shred of medical evidence to back it up. Dr. Rusting, Dr. Who, Dr. whatever, it doesn't matter. I would respect them. If they have it, that's great. Then they're in a whole new category. But they're saying right here on PubMed, there are no irrefutable peer-reviewed human trial studies on PubMed or elsewhere of these broadly unsubstantiated claims from these commercial detox products or toxin removal, weight loss, or health promotions. Not whether it's keto or paleo or Mediterranean or time-restricted eating, they don't have any studies. That's why why would you do anything else but this? Why? I have no idea. I really don't. So let's see. I've lost 6 weeks on the Garza weight loss program. But what's the but? Please give me the but. I'm dying to know, Mandy 463. You have to clean, eat consistently to maintain, or you lose more weight, and that's hard. Mandy, actually on this, all they're doing, by the way, I lost 40 pounds, Mandy, in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. The picture you're looking at there, she's kept that off now for 8 or 9 years. My friend's daughter, where do you see this? Look at this. Sorry, let me pull it up. She lost 60 pounds in 3 months, and she's kept it off now for 8 or 9 years. Look at her face, arms, and stomach. You think that's happening on any diet? It's not. So let's just see what. Okay, what does a typical day of food look like? For example, it's the food people normally eat or weird food. No, there's no weird food. So 30% of what you would eat 5 days a week comes from your grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of calorie counting, they gave you serving sizes. The other 70% come from these food sources, not weird food, from around the world, from places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. Why is that important? Because they represent huge amounts of nutrition, but very small amounts of food by quantity, okay? So 5 days a week, you actually would have 4 meals a day. You'd start with these exotic foods from around the world. That's breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner of these exotic foods. So 5 days a week, you're eating 4 times a day. 2 days a week, no food from the grocery store. Only these exotic foods from around the world, but this time she ate 8 times a day. She literally was eating every hour and a half. You have to understand your body doesn't know what a calorie is. It doesn't care about bulk. It only cares about nutrition. And that's what they did. And look at the results. That's not photoshopped. So that's 5 pounds a week for 3 months, but look at the change in her body composition. And then if we look at someone like Julie, 35 pounds in 37 days. See, Kristen's sort of this is the least amount we're used to, people losing 5 pounds a week. So again, the fact, Manny, you lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, that's wonderful, because I don't know how much you needed to lose. Maybe it was only 20 pounds, which is great. Because see, she only needed to lose about 30 pounds. She lost 21 of it in the first month, where obviously some of these other people had a lot more weight, like Curtis, for example. Look at this. How about 40 pounds in a month? 10 pounds a week. So, but you've got to understand that the medical proof to back it up, he lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. But look at his lab work. Look at his A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4 and his triglycerides 242 to 124. By the way, we only have 70 likes. Really? Really? This is medical proof that could change your life. Can you tap on the screen and let me know that you like this content or not? If you don't like it, then don't tap. It's pretty simple. But 70 is a pretty low number for us. Needless 40, I would have needed another 6 weeks, but it's hard to clean, yeah. Well, this has nothing to do with clean eating. Whatever you were doing, congratulations. I I need to lose 40. Well, look at this. She lost 20 in 30 days. How much would that excite you? But Mandy, you got to understand, she's maintained it now for 8 or 9 years. It's not just the initial weight loss, it's the ability to maintain it. Maintenance is simple. One of these exotic meals per day, 2 normal meals, and then every about 8 weeks, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast. That's it. That's how simple maintenance is. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. So anyway, let's see. I gained it back. Yes, I need to learn how to maintain. Okay, Mandy. So Mandy, or any of you, give me a yes. Right up, do you see above her head? Her name's Kristen. In blue, it says the new health conversation. Do you see that? Suzanne, I promise I'll explain it to you in a second. Do you see that, Mandy? The new health conversation. No spaces. Okay, you click on there, type in Google, no spaces, look at the medical proof, and if you like what you see, scroll down and you get a free coach. Fair enough? Okay, so Suzanne, let me explain to you what they did. First of all, this was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world who'd done 100 studies over 40 years, thousands of people on every diet out there, and finally came to the conclusion after all that time there was no diet they ever studied where people kept the weight off long term, because all diets were flawed by the simple principle the body has no idea what a calorie is. Why we're all obsessed with counting calories is complete insanity. Your body has no idea what a calorie is. So let's back up. What does your body care about? What does the body run? What's the most important single thing so we're alive? Nutrition. When you go on a diet and you lower the amount of food you're consuming, because that's what a diet is, you lower nutrition. When that happens, the brain freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cell, and turns to your muscles for energy. So initially you lose the weight, and then as you know, then it slows down, then it's a trickle, then all of a sudden you plateau. And then God forbid, then you gain it all back. So the research said the flaw was, could we give you less food, but find new foods with high levels of nutrition, not high levels of nothing to do with calories. Does it make sense so far? So they put together a grocery list that you would get, Suzanne, of fats, so proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits, but instead of giving you calorie counts, they're giving you serving sizes. Got it? And so, but that's only 30% of what you would eat in a month, let's say, those foods, specific. And also with very specific amounts, not calorie counting, okay? The other 70%, here's what makes it so amazing. These researchers had found other researchers who for 20 years had gone around the world, and these foods you can't buy in a grocery store, but they'd gone to Russia, to Mongolia, to Tibet, to South America, New Zealand, and brought back these foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but low amounts of food by volume. Some of the nutrients came from areas in the world where people are living to be 100 years old regularly and don't get sick. So the researchers now had the foods, 30% from the grocery store, you'd get a grocery list. The other 70% you'd buy directly from those suppliers. And then 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day, because they invented a completely new way of eating. They call it an eating pattern. So breakfast, these exotic foods around the world, Suzanne, that's your breakfast. Lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. That's called protein pacing. It's actually patented, U.S. Patent Office. Notice the word pacing, because what the researchers proved was that it wasn't just you were getting all this nutrition, it was how the pattern of how you spaced it out. Like, did you eat every hour? Did you eat every 2 hours? It's all laid out for you. And 2 days a week, this is much more specific, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, you ate 8 times a day. Yep, she was eating about every hour and a half to 2 hours. There were people on this 400, they don't get hungry, because it has nothing to do with calories. It has to do with nutritional density. And by spreading it out that way, they kept the body in harmony. Well, it's called homeostasis, in the balance as far as the amount of nutrition to keep all the organs running at full speed. There's the result. She lost 21 pounds and 38 inches in 30 days with no exercise allowed. They actually wore Fitbits to prove they didn't exercise. And when they measured, she lost no water weight out of that 21 pounds. And instead of losing any lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise at all allowed. And she's maintained it now for 8 or 9 years. This is called R2M, race to maintenance. That's what the researchers call it. I didn't invent it. I have nothing to do with that. But I did it. I lost 40 pounds, Suzanne, in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. Most women lose a whole dress size on this in just the first week. Let me repeat that. Most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days, and no, that's even without exercise. Now, if you want to exercise, that's fine. And you get a free coach. If you go to that website, Suzanne, there's nothing to buy there. It's only the medical proof, including an interview, a podcast with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, explaining why they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again. After 40 years of research, they cracked the code on obesity and health. I know it sounds too good to be true, but if you go to that website, we won't even contact you. You have the choice. If you like what you see, scroll down and get a coach free the whole time. There's people are asking me, how much is the coaching? It's free. It's zero cost for coaching. And you're not buying anything from your coaches. You're buying 30% of your food from your grocery store and 70% from these. And the cost, you're going to spend about what you spent last month, your total food bill. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's better than that. Because again, Suzanne, we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies proving everything I'm saying. Nobody else has that. Nobody else in the world. Why? It's free to go to the website and see the medical proof. I don't want you to believe me. I didn't do the research. I'm not the researcher. I'm the researcher of the researchers. So let's see. Yeah, but you only went from 5.9 to 5.5. Oh, I see what you're saying, John. 30 pounds in 3 months. Oh, okay. Well, look at this, John. Look at this comparison. Look at Curtis, 40 pounds in a month. Look at his A1C. In 30 days, went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides, 242 to 124. So as a diabetic, give me your reaction to that. Dropping that much A1C in just 30 days plus 40 pounds in a month. Please give me your reaction. By the way, John, just so you know, this was invented by a diabetic chemist more than 25 years ago. This original protocol. By a diabetic chemist, one of the greatest probably nutritional chemists of the 20th century. He died a few years ago, but he invented it. He was a diabetic. So, John, what would you say about that? Suzanne, okay, so John, John, please comment. What do you think about that? His A1C 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days and lost 40 pounds. Letting go, I'm in awe. Okay, great. All right, so Suzanne and everybody else, let me show you, because I'm running out of time this morning on this podcast anyway. So do you all see above her head there in blue the new health conversation? Please give me a yes, Suzanne or anybody else. That website is completely, we will not contact you if you go there. I have 2 sons on their heads and my 4 grandkids. We're not going to contact you. Not because we're not interested in you, but we just feel that there's so much smoke and mirrors out there. Only thing on that website is the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition. It's a podcast. And he'll explain to you why they'll never recommend any traditional. You'll never do it. You watch that podcast, there's no way you'll ever do another keto, paleo, Meadows, Scarsdale, triangle, whatever diet you've ever been on. You will not. They've abandoned them all and said they'll never recommend a traditional diet to anybody ever again because they have the medical proof that they're completely unsafe, and this makes all diets obsolete. That's all free, and we're not going to contact you unless you like what you see. Scroll down, and then you get a coach. Suzanne, does that make sense to you? It's free. There's no way. And really, the coaches are there to do really 3 things. One, get the grocery list, show you what you're going to buy from the grocery store, show you how to buy the foods direct, and then they coach you, including giving you and following you. It's called the Blueprint of Success that was developed by the researchers, not by us. And all these yellows are daily videos from the researchers, who, by the way, have no products. They have no dog in this hunt. So if you do it or don't, they don't make a penny. But what's important to them, they're now credited with cracking the code on obesity that the scientific world's been chasing for over 100 years. They figured it out. And they've got 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Nobody else has any peer-reviewed human trial studies. Keto, paleo, Mediterranean, all these diets, forget it. Nobody has it. And yet you're all most of you are following it blindly, relying on their wonderful personalities or their opinions. But they don't have any medical proof. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Because what else would you do? So who else here? Let's see. I lost 85 pounds, regained 10, and want it off for good. Okay, Suzanne. Well, I'll look at it now. And Suzanne, please understand, I'm on your side. And Suzanne, I don't want you to believe me. I'm not trying to disrespect myself, but it's not my research, Suzanne. That's what I want you to understand. But what do you think, Suzanne, about this the daughter of this friend of mine. How about 60 pounds and 3? She's kept it off now for 8 years. That picture, it's the same woman. I mean, I should have asked you that, Suzanne. Do you think it's the first woman? What are the exotic meals? I'm going to tell you in just a moment, okay? Yes, look at it now. I lost 85 pounds. Okay. So as far as I call them exotic foods. What they are, they're foods that come from areas of the world. By the way, no herbicides, no pesticides, but they come from areas of the world where they haven't used herbicides and pesticides that represent foods with huge amounts of nutrition. Let me give you one example. One of the things, who's Kit Kat? One of the things we're the most deficient in are what are called trace ionic minerals. There's 70 that we need. Now, that's not iron, calcium, magnesium. These are things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. In the best organic food you can buy in this country, Kit Kat, Kit Kat? Is it Kit Kat? Yeah, Kit Kat. I got it right. Okay, good. I hate mispronouncing people's names. In the best organic you get in this country, no matter how much you eat, you get 20. The other 50 you never get. Well, the researchers found food sources that had all 70 minerals. They also found a food source that had 22 naturally occurring vitamins. See, if you're taking a supplement now in a pill, it's made in the laboratory, and it's okay, but it's not as good as a natural vitamin that's native to the food you're consuming. These foods that they brought back, or nutrients from the foods, are some of the areas where people living to be 100 years old and don't get sick. It's not, you've got to understand, it's not just that there's more nutrition from those foods, but some of the nutrients don't exist in North America. I can tell you two different nutrients. One comes from Mongolia that massively lowers stress in the body. I know, sound crazy. It's what Genghis Khan gave to his troops to go into battle while they were such ferocious fighters because they lowered their stress levels. I'm not making this up. And another element comes from the Himalayas in Nepal and massively lowers inflammation. Now, rather than being a sales gimmick, in the medical studies proving for the first time ever, they brought inflammation down 25% in a month, and we all suffer from inflammation. It's the underlying cause pretty much of every medical condition out there, and we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical conditions. Don't hear me say that. This is not a substitute for. But the diabetics, I know we have a diabetic on here. Let me explain to you. Let's go to Curtis for a moment. So not only did Curtis drop his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4 in 30 days, but his doctors, all the diabetics on this, to give you an idea across the board, they were able to lower their doctors, at 30 days, they cut their meds by 50% just in 30 days. This is not a weight loss program. The weight loss is, we'd say that's the booby prize. That's like the throw-in. No, it's about energy, mental focus, lowering stress, sleeping better at night, having more energy. Do you know what most people say on this? Despite even someone like Curtis that lost all that weight, he said, the weight loss is great, but I can't believe the way I feel. Well, number one, he's on half the meds. He may be all off his meds now because this was like 7 or 8 years ago that picture was taken, and they've all maintained their weight for 7 or 8 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. Pretty good, huh? So again, I would invite any of you, Suzanne included, any of you to go to the website. You can all see it there. Excuse me, the new health conversation, and take a look and see what you think. And if you like what you see, then you can get a free coach. Doesn't that sound like a pretty good deal to all of you, to everybody? I know it sounds good to be true. Oh, the best part, I didn't even tell you. So Suzanne and everybody else, 25% of what you're going to, 30%, sorry, of what you're going to spend at your grocery store. But the other 70% that you're buying, the other 70%, they give you 100% money back guarantee. Susan, 100% money back guarantee. It says it right on the website. 100% money back guarantee. That's not us because we didn't sell you anything. Susan, I understand it's too good to be true. I'm making you all skeptical. Do yourself a favor. Go prove me wrong. Go and look at the new health conversation. Look at all the medical proof and then come back and say that I was full of it. I'm not saying you're saying that. I get people that, what do they call me? Let's see, lots of names. BS, huckster. I've had all kinds of names. Well, none of it's my research. And it's so ridiculous. I'm not saying any of you are doing that, but when you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're beyond, it's what's called irrefutable medical evidence. Irrefutable medical evidence. Does that make sense? We'd love to be able to help you. Suzanne, we'd love to be able to help you. Suzanne, you get a free coach. Do you understand? Free. They've done it. They've walked in your shoes. They understand. We all got coached. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, Suzanne, one of my favorites. If you haven't seen it, everybody go watch it. It's like 30 years old, 20, whatever, called Pay It Forward. And the only thing I'll tell you, have a box of Kleenex when you watch it. In essence, that's what we're doing. We're paying it forward. Someone coached us. My goal has always been to change the world. And I'm not telling to brag. Maybe you think I am, but I'm not. I'm just stating. I've been a nutritional researcher 23 years. I wrote 4 best-selling books, some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. Did over 1,500 lectures in hospitals and universities and towns. They even flew me to China. I spoke twice, keynote at Autism One in Chicago, one of the largest autism conferences in the world. And for 22 of my 23 years in the medical world, all of this meant 0. Because it was what's called anecdotal evidence. Well, now, it was a little over 15 months ago, I guess, when these medical studies started coming out. I've got medical doctors and PAs and RNs and dietitians and nutritionists and weight loss people coming out of the woodwork that want to do this. So what I would say to all of you is I would invite you, encourage you, inspire you. Go to the website. It's free, and we're not going to contact you. Can you take the chance that this is not real? Are you willing to take the chance that it's not real? I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. But if you were the least bit open, if Medicare is saying Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, diets are not the answer. The researchers at Medicare reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets and diets to assess whether any diet is an effective treatment for obesity. The studies showed that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on any diet. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. That's not me saying that. That's Medicare. I hope that I've made a difference. I hope that I've woken you up. I hope that I've opened your eyes. And we're offering you free access to the medical proof. We won't contact you. But if you like what you see, then you scroll down, you get a free coach. And they'll go over everything with you. We have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have a lady 91. We have people with no thyroids, let alone hyperthyroid, thyroidism, goiter, whatever. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with kidney transplants. We have people with no gallbladders. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or preventing any medical conditions. So don't hear me say that. This is not a diet, everybody. Weight loss is the booby prize. That's the last thing down the line. I mean, I'll show you one. This will make you smile, hopefully. You talk about a life-changing event. Less than a year, 200 pounds. Look at, where's the loose skin? Oh, they photoshopped it. She had surgery. No, she didn't. That's real. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about exercise? Well, you can definitely exercise on this, but in the research, what they did, they eliminated exercise. Let me show you one last picture of what happens if you do exercise. Now, this is 11 days. Wait till you see this transformation. Day 1, pretty good shape. And move my fat head. Day 5, so that's 4 days in. That's the morning of day 5. But look at it's actually the morning of day 12. Look at that transformation, everybody. That is exactly 11 days, culminating on day 12. Now, you might think, that's Photoshopped. Well, I kind of know that person. That's my youngest son. He's 40 years old. That's my son. Now, I don't quite look like that, let me say. He lives in Costa Rica. He's a big surfer. So it's not like on day 1 he wasn't already working out and being at the gym and doing everything. That's my point. And then he added this. Look at that. What do you all think about that? In 11 days. So if you want to exercise, obviously you can. I mean, fitness trainers look at this and they can't believe it. They can't believe that, for example, someone could lose 20 pounds in a month and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. I always say, just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. No, it's not a diet, Tracy. Nothing to do with dieting. Absolutely not a diet. No, no, no. Tracy, I'll do a real fast over. Yeah, Kit Kat. Isn't that amazing? So for you, Tracy, I'm going to go real fast because I was going to quit, but I'm going to finish for you. First of all, this is not a diet. Number two, it was invented by the top weight loss, nutrition physiologists in the world. And here's the principle. Instead of counting on calories, the researchers created food lists. Only 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store, from very specific food. Instead of giving her calories, they gave her serving sizes: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But only 30%. The other 70% she consumed came from food groups from other researchers who'd gone for 20 years, Tracy, around the world to Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but small quantities of food. You got it so far? And the reason that diet, Neil, I'm explaining to you right now, okay? I've just joined What Do I Eat, Neil, the same thing, okay? Let me back up, Neil. The only thing you missed is diets don't work because counting calories is the most ridiculous thing anybody came up with. The human body has no idea what a calorie is. So the researchers, what they did is they put together a protocol that was based on nutrition, not on calorie counting. And so although they were able to give people less food by quantity, they found foods with higher levels of nutrition, 30% of which you'd buy at your grocery store. You'd get a grocery store list: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But the other 70%, I was just about ready to explain also to Tracy, you'd get you get free coaching also, because you've never done anything like this. And you buy 70% of the food you'd consume in the month from these researchers who'd gone around the world to places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, to find foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but smaller quantities of food. So those were the foods that she consumed. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming food. So 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. You heard me. She started with the world's most perfect these exotic foods for breakfast, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner with these exotic foods. That's called protein pacing. Now, the other part of this that was critical, it wasn't just that they were giving her more nutrition and still giving her less food. It was the timing. That's what the pacing means. They called it the pattern of eating. So you would get specific times between like breakfast, then you would have a snack like mid-morning, and then you'd have lunch. It's all laid out. You don't have to figure any of this out. But 2 days a week, she did something. Now, this will spin all of you probably. She did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these exotic foods around the world. But this time, she was eating 8 times a day. You heard me. She was eating every hour and a half. We had people that weighed 400 pounds. They weren't getting hungry because it wasn't based on calories. It wasn't based on the amount of food they were consuming. It was about the amount of nutrition that they were getting. And look at her results in 30 days, 21 pounds, 38 inches. She lost no water weight because they measured it. And instead of losing any lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, Kim, why would you say something that ridiculous? You have no, Kim, what you're fighting are peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. You're completely wrong. You're just off base. Sorry. Maybe you're a nice person, but you're full of it. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Again, this is the daughter of a friend of mine, 60 pounds in 3 months with no exercise, and she's kept it off for 8 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. Don't give me that bull. I was an Olympic skier. I was a world-class athlete. I've seen it all. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. It's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, not by someone's opinion. You're giving me an opinion. Your opinion doesn't mean a damn thing. Where's your proof? You don't have any. See, that's what people do. They want to come on and give me these theories. It's all theology. Woo! Because they're locked into what? Counting calories. It's dead burden. I mean, my God, when Medicare says Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments, diets are not the answer. Our research has proved that long-term outcomes of calorie-restricted diets, 2/3 of people gain more weight than they lost. And there's no evidence that there's any support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. It's just that simple. So people want to argue with me all the time, but it's not true. Kim, BS. No, you're full of it. Kim, where's your peer-reviewed human trial? Oh, Kim, how many times have you appeared on PBS? How many best-selling books did you write with some of the top medical doctors in the world? How about 1,500 live lectures at universities like University of Notre Dame and Maryland and UCLA, and lectured all over the world? What? Where's your credentials? You're giving me an opinion. So Tracy, the foods, go to the new health conversation. You can see it there right above her head, because I do have to go in just a couple minutes. The new health conversation in blue. The only thing there is the medical proof for all of you to see, the medical proof. And if you like what you see, then scroll down, then you get a coach, and they'll show you everything for free. The coaching is 100% free. 100% free, okay? So Tracy, does that make sense? And do you see where to go? In blue, right above her head there, the new health conversation. Good, I'll have a look, go for it. Kim, it's just really sad that you would say something like that. You know, you don't have, I mean, you're taking me on, you don't know who I am, you don't know my background. I mean, I've been doing this for 23 years. I've worked with, one of my colleagues is the top oncologist in the world, and a molecular biologist who's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. No, just because you don't agree, just because you've never seen anything like this, it doesn't mean it isn't possible. Every single study is now saying stop counting calories. Diet and exercise just don't work. We're looking within 4 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. What's your solution? Where are your peer-reviewed human trial studies? Because they don't exist. They don't exist. Redhead, go to right above. See it in her. See her in the above her head there. Redhead D22. See in blue the new health conversation. The new health conversation. Go there, and you'll see the medical proof. By the way, Kim, so you understand that the researchers who did this, the researcher, is rated the top weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He's worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and NFL football players and Olympians, etc. So don't tell me BS. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You're entitled to your opinion, but why do you have to call me a name? Does that make you feel good? Makes you feel important? I've seen this for 23 years. I get it. I've spoken in some of the biggest venues. I've spoken in universities. I was a keynote speaker at Autism One in Chicago, the largest autism conference in the world. I guess I got a little bit of credibility. But don't come on to my podcast and call me names. What good does that do? You can question it. Great. But BS, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, Curtis, how about 40 pounds in a month and 52 inches and his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4 and his triglycerides 242 to 124? You're going to show me something like that on any of your programs, whatever they might be? So Redhead, do you see that? Give me a yes if you understand where to go. So Redhead D22, do you see? Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Right there in blue above her head, the new health conversation. Do you see that? So Redhead, put a yes so I know you see that before I close out this podcast, which I'm going to do in a couple minutes here. Redhead, are you still there? Or maybe I explained to you. So all of you, do you see that in blue, the new health conversation? It's a free medical website. There's nothing to buy there. We will not contact you. The only thing there is the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the entire world. All right, everybody, I got lots of hearts, etc. Just to let you know, I will probably do another live podcast about 12:30 Eastern time today, in case any of you are interested, or tell your friends. But hopefully this has been helpful or useful to all of you. And let's see, excellent video. Steamboat calorie counting ain't working right exactly. Can you post a new link, please? Oh, okay, sorry. Someone's asked me to post a new link. Okay, it's let's see. There are no spaces for you asking me for the new link over here on other social media platforms. Let's see if I can make this bigger somehow. Can you all see it there, the new health conversation system Bolage? I'm not a doctor, I'm a researcher, but I appreciate the compliment, but I'm not. Good, Neil. I typed in Google and got it. The New Health Conversation. Wonderful, Neil. Anybody else? And Neil, remember, when you go there, we're not going to contact you. Please understand that. We don't do that. But if you like what you see, scroll down and you get a free coach. By the way, you'll see also 100% money back guarantee on 70% of the food you buy from these researchers. Because you don't buy anything from us, you don't buy anything from the researchers. The other 30% you're buying from the grocery store. And well, maybe you can negotiate with them to give you your money back if it doesn't work in the first 30 days. So Neil, you have no risk other than not going there and checking it out. Okay? All right, everybody, I'm going to end this podcast now, and I want all of you to be in a position where you can see whatever you want to see on the website right there. Again, the New Health Conversation. It's totally free. Oh, I forgot to mention these two women. I coached them. The daughter's 57, lost 50 pounds in 3 months. Her mom was 80, lost 90 pounds in 9 months, and they've kept it off for, it will be 3 years in August. So anyway. LaShonda, Cynde doesn't, again, there's no medical proof. The results of it are minuscule at best. That's all I can tell you. LaShonda, aren't you in the Caribbean or something, if I remember correctly? I thought you were, because you've been on, that's such a nice name, and I've seen you several different times. I thought I had addressed unicity before, but again, LaShonda, or any of you, unless these things have peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, they don't mean anything. And I can tell you right here in PubMed, which is where all these big studies go, here's what they said about all these other commercial companies. As of June 15, 2025, there are no irrefutable peer-reviewed human trial studies on PubMed or elsewhere of these broadly substantiated claims of commercial detox, toxin removal, or weight loss or health promotion. Well, except these, there are 10 of them now. No other company have peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, period. This is the only one. Not unicity, not paleo, keto, Mediterranean, carnivore. None of them have peer-reviewed human trial studies. So that's the thing you want to guard against, right? So LaShonda, have you gone to the website yet, LaShonda? Have you gone? I just want to know, because if you haven't, it's right there above the, see it in blue, the New Health Conversation, Women's World. Go there and see the actual medical proof for yourself, and then scroll down and you can get a coach if you want. Oh, you have a coach already. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I do need to sign off, everybody. It's been a long day, a long day's journey into night, as they say. So I'll look forward to doing another live today. It's about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time today. Okay? Thanks, everybody.